SWP audio capture not registered.
Hello everybody, hello, welcome to our Season 2 Kickstarter event streams that we're going to be doing throughout October and November. I am Theo3, and which side of me? This side of me, I have Georgia.
Hello.
And then below us, we have the wonderful Tal. Hello, Tal.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
So yes, if you are new here or you weren't sure, so we are the Holmwood Foundation. We are raising money to kickstart our Season 2 fiction podcast of the Holmwood Foundation, which is a Dracula sequel made in found footage that you can listen to anywhere you get your podcasts right now. You can listen to all of Season 1 and we're currently raising money for season 2. And we've invited Tal because not only is Tal also crowdfunding, but Tal has also done some Dracula work. So we're going to talk to Tal today about Dracula, about their interpretations, and just about what it's like to make audio drama as well. I guess would be really good if we want to add to the conversation. Spicy, let's go. All the hot takes. So Tal, for those who may be uninitiated with yourself, could you announce your credentials and who you are and let people know what you get up to?
Yeah, so I'm Tal Minear. I use they, them pronouns. I work on Dracula, which is an audio drama adaptation of Dracula, taking just the book as a whole and releasing the episodes in chronological order. Dracula Daily for your ears. And I work on that with Stephen Indrasano and Hannah Wright. We've also adapted Carmilla. That was a little more straightforward. Episode is a chapter. And now we're working on Frankenstein, and we're crowdfunding for Frankenstein. I think it's going to be super good. I'm really looking forward to getting to the sound design portion of it, because sound design is one of my favorite things about audio drama. Outside of my work with Bloody FM and Dracula and Frankenstein and Carmilla, I do some other audio dramas like Side Questing, What Will Be Here, Someone Dies in This Elevator, and more. I do too many things. It is a problem. There we go. We'll end it on that.
We're just known for the one, and it's like scary to be known for the one, let alone just like having to pour so much of yourself into all the things. So massive, like that's crazy. Well done. So yeah, so we are all big Dracula nerds. I think that's going to be the thing that we talk about most, obviously, today. So I guess what we should ask you first is your first encounter with Dracula. What medium and what drew you to the story?
Not registered.
Yeah, my first encounter with reading Dracula was actually Dracula Daily. I want to say it was the second year that Matt did it. 2022, I want to say.
21 or 22, yeah, I think it was 22.
I think it was 22. Time is fake.
Yeah.
But I signed up for the emails and I just read them as they came in, and I was like, oh, this is actually like a really cool story. And my second thought was, I want to make this into an audio drama, which is the eternal problem that I have. Yeah, like I had, encountered Dracula. Just it's such a big just thing in media and pop culture. Like the Buffy episode with Dracula was definitely something I watched before I read Dracula. Yeah, first encounter was Dracula Daily.
That's very cool.
That's such a cool way of encountering it for the first time as well, because you experience it in real time.
Yeah. And I really liked that aspect of it. Like it made it feel a lot more real, almost like experiencing the time gaps between everything. I don't know. It was just such a fun way to read a book.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I remember because I never, actually to be fair, I did a little bit of Dracula Daily, but actually my version of Dracula Daily was actually Read Dracula. So though I was already a fan of the book, it was just like, oh, I get to experience Dracula in audio parts, which means I can, clean the house, or I can drive to work, or I can, whilst listening to the book I've already read before, but in real time. So yeah, which was very exciting. So yeah,
not registered.
So in saying that, then, aside from your own body of work, so not just Read Dracula, do you have a favourite Dracula interpretation since Dracula Daily, like comics or films or any other media?
Honestly, this is such a bummer of an answer, but not really, because I think so many of the movies just like completely miss the mark. And yeah. I'm not really like a comics person. I'm barely a TV show person. So like for me, the best adaptation of it's just Dracula, no adaptation.
Yeah, cool. That's a great answer, because obviously, like, most people you ask that to, they go to like, well, when I was a kid, I watched the Hammer Horrors, or I read the book, but I'd already seen the film or the TV series. So it's quite a refreshing answer to be like, well, no, I experience Dracula daily, so the Dracula that's inside my head
It's the best
it's the
adaptation.
best version,
Yes.
which I think is probably for a lot of the book
Yeah,
fans
basically.
also true.
I mean, I'm slowly building in my mind like a Frankenstein-esque version of all the different adaptations that have been made, picking the good bits from them and like sewing them together with the other good bits to slowly make a complete adaptation that works all the way through. One day I'll
Yes.
get there and I'll edit it.
Well, okay, hopefully this question's easier then for you. Do you have a favourite character in Dracula?
Oh,
Or is that just too hard?
it's gotta be Jonathan Harker. Like, he's just such like this little cinnamon roll at the beginning, and then he gets like a little pointy at the end, and I really love his arc. I love his love for Mina. Like, he's my Blorbo. I'm just constantly like rotating him in my head.
As we all are.
All of us. I think we should
My-
start doing a
my
tally of
second-
how many of them are Jonathan Harker when the people ask, because it's really
He's so
refreshing. He's good. But yes, sorry, I cut you off.
My
Please tell us
second
your
favorite
second.
character is Quincy, because he's the American and he's so silly, and let's just shoot bats. Let's just do it. Yeah.
He's
It's
in
just
a completely different
very
It's a different
like-
show.
he's in a different book. He's in a different genre. He just appears and he's like,
yeah.
we're in a horror.
Like, I just love that. Why is he here? I don't know, but he is, and it's great. So he's my second favorite.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love Quincy also. Best boy. And I guess off the back of that, do you have a favorite scene or aspect of the book that you like to explore?
My favorite, like, is always just the beginning. Just Jonathan Harker in the castle, figuring out, like, that his client is really sus, and just like that slow burn horror of just things increasingly going wrong and trying to get out. Like, I don't know, it's always my favorite part. And it's kind of a bummer because it's at the beginning. So once that happens, it's like, okay, well, that was my favorite part. Not that the rest is bad. I love all of Dracula. But my favorite is just like, stick my Blorbo in a situation, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we've
Put
done
that man
a few
in
times.
isolation and rotate him.
Yeah.
See,
Uh-huh.
now I'm imagining the castle like a microwave.
Yeah.
It's the microwave rotating, but it's
Yeah.
castle shaped, and
Yeah.
there's just Jonathan inside it.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah,
Not-
exactly.
not
That's why it's the best part of the book.
Oh, okay, cool, right. Have you got a second favorite scene or aspect of the book?
The Demeter, for
Yeah.
sure. Because, again, like, I'm learning maybe I just like people trapped in a place where bad things are happening. But it's such a good, just like, standalone almost. Oh no, all of your crewmates are disappearing one by one, and you're on a ship. And
Yeah, you
what's
can't
gonna
do anything
happen?
about it.
Yeah, and like, even reading, okay, Dracula is gonna end up in England, but like the first time reading it, I didn't necessarily know exactly how that was gonna happen. So it was like very, I don't know, very compelling for lack of a better word. And I really enjoyed that part as well.
It's really interesting to see that like some adaptations do just take that section and make it its own section. Some really well. I personally really enjoyed right until the end the Voyage of the Demeter film that came out last year.
Yeah,
Wasn't
apart from
entirely
the
sure about
end.
that continuation.
Everything
apart
else
from
was alright. We liked how it treated Dracula as this kind of abominable horror, and like the idea of being trapped with it. But yeah, the end, yeah. We could forget the end exists.
Could have just thrown that onto Dracula and they didn't. But and then there's also the midpoint of Dracula 2020, which I don't think quite understood what it was doing. But I really like it when adaptations take that section and really do something with it.
Yeah, me too.
So, as we talked about the book,
SWB audio
what can you
capture,
tell us
not
about your experience
registered.
adapting the book for Dracula? Obviously you had the sudden idea of this would work as a podcast. How did that idea
And then you
become?
just did it.
How did that idea go from one thing to actually being out in the world?
Yeah.
Give us the lowdown.
So the very first thing I did was I emailed Matt Kirkland. I was like, hello, I know Dracula is public domain, but I'm asking you anyway, can I do what you're doing as a podcast? And he was like, yeah, that seems super cool. And then I went to Stephen and Hannah, who are both very competent people, and went, hello, I am doing this. Do you want to help? And they said yes. And then it just kind of exploded from there. The three of us just kind of scripting it. And I say scripting, we are primarily just adapting the text exactly. A lot of adaptations do a little bit more adapting, but we were just basically taking the novel and turning it into script format. And we removed some of what we called the non-load bearing racism, removing some of the slurs where it's you can get the same point across by just saying Ronnie. There was a couple things we cut or slightly modified, which ended up being really controversial. We got a lot of pushback for that, but it was also something that all of us felt very strongly about. We were like, you can just go listen to an audiobook if you really want your racism or whatever.
Yeah.
But once we sort of had our script, we cast our actors, we did it closed casting by just kind of reaching out to people and being like, either, hey, will you audition? Or, hey, do you want this role? We think you'd be really good. And we did crowdfunding. And then we finally got to record and produce. And what made this show work so well was working with Stephen and Hannah, because between the three of us, we all have different strengths. Hannah's amazing at scheduling and also directing. Stephen's an incredible dialogue editor, and he also had a lot of insight on the text that was really useful. Then I was great at sound design and the show running duties that don't involve scheduling recording sessions, which I so much. And everything just kind of clicked, and it was frankly a miracle that we were able to release the show the next year. If I did this again, I would give us all way more time to do it. That's why for Frankenstein, we're going to release it fall of next year, and we're already recording, so we'll have so much time. But yeah, really the answer is just we decided to do it, and then we did. And I don't think we realized quite just how big of a project it would be. And I think if we had realized, we probably wouldn't have done it. So maybe it was good that we didn't realize.
Yeah.
Sometimes hindsight is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
There's just so much of it. It's so many episodes, so much just keeping track of what lines went in what place, and so much audio. Just doing the quality control for the lines of just, are these takes good? Took forever.
Because I imagine, because I know quite a lot, your cast were scattered all over the place. Because there's some based in the UK, some placed in the US. Then surely you had to have. Did you have any synchronized recording, or was it just all async?
We did both for scenes that we thought were high stakes or had emotional beats that we really wanted to hit, we would do synchronized recording with either Ella or Hannah directing. The scheduling, that was really fun. Most of our actors were in the UK, but obviously Hannah, Stephen, and I were not. Having Ella as our director was convenient, not only because she's just an incredible director, but time zone wise, it was great. I totally forgot the question.
No, it was like, honestly, it was just kind of like a very like vague question, just in terms of how it was to make Dracula. So we can kind of go on to any tangent. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd say like matching like with Holmwood, I felt like we were like we could try this, and then we did one episode, and then we were like, well, now we've got to do 6 more, and now we're trying to do 10 more, and then we plan to do 7 more after that. And it's like, if you'd have told us like a year ago we were planning to do that, we probably would be like, no, that's too much work. Why would we do that to ourselves?
Yeah, that's how it goes. It's the like frog in the boiling water.
Yeah. You're like, it's cascading, and you've got like a cast of thousands, and you've got to write everyone a contract. You've got to make sure everyone's doing all right and everyone knows what's going on. You're like, oh God, how did I get here? In the best possible way.
Yeah.
The outcome is worth it. I mean, I have very fond memories. I can't remember where me and Georgia were driving to. I think we were driving from London, maybe to Cornwall or somewhere, like maybe my family or your family. But we binged like a load of Dracula that we were catching up on, and we were just like, "This is just so good! This is just so good!" I think that was it. I think I'd caught up, and you hadn't caught up.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna listen to it again. We're gonna do it together. And I think that was just before we were like, hey, we could transform this idea that we've got into a fiction podcast. We've written audio drama. That could work. Lo and behold, here we are chatting to you about audio drama that we've made, which is crazy. Okay. I have a question. I have a burning question. You've probably answered this so many times. What was the story behind adding the musical numbers to like
I was
the
going to
major
ask about
parts?
music.
Because I love them. They're great.
They have Vice on a regular Spotify rotation.
Yeah, I think what happened is Newt came to us and was like, what if I wrote a song for your trailer? And that was and we said yes, obviously, and it was really good. And we were like, well, what if we did a stretch goal to just like make a concept album? And then we hit that. And then I, with absolutely no musical expertise, I cannot play any instruments, found myself in the position of having to produce an album. And I think when we had the idea for the album, it just kind of flowed naturally that we would put songs at the end of episodes for, I don't know, for when it worked.
For major acts.
Which
I imagined it as like major act breaks, right? When you're moving from like one section of the book into another major section.
Yeah, like we repurposed Bite for when I think Jonathan Harker finally gets the heck out of there, and then we had like a sea shanty for the Demeter episode, and like a cursed lullaby for Lucy. And it just like we just had the idea and we just kind of rolled with it, and I learned how to make songs. I guess I depended so much on my partner, who knows more about musical production than me, but no one involved in this team knew what we were doing. So it was really, really hard. And you'll note there's no concept album stretch goal for Frankenstein because all of us went, I'm so glad we did this. We are never doing this again.
Never.
So like, yeah, so it just kind of started with our friend Newt Shuttlecotty being like, hey, what if I did this? And we were like, ooh, that's really fun. Let's do more of that. And then we did. And we will never do it again.
Do did you want to lead the next question, Georgia? If your I think your microphone's probably okay. I think
Is it- Cool. Yes.
if you want to.
Where are we? Where are we in the list?
The third one down of work.
Oh, of course, yes. If you had the opportunity to make Read Dracula a second time around, is there anything you would do differently? Is there anything you would bring from your newfound experience into a second Read Dracula point two?
Well, giving us more time to produce it would be good. The only reason it got made on time was because at 3 separate points within production, Hannah, Stephen, and I did not have a day job, so we were able to just dedicate more hours, and this happened 3 different times with each of us, and just by some miracle it got done. And I know we just talked about the concept album, but bringing in someone who knows more about music would have saved me 1 million headaches, and I would have done that. But like in terms of the finished product, like I love Read Dracula. I'm so happy with it. Like sometimes I have the urge to like go back and tinker with previous projects, like episode 1 of basically every show I've ever made. But I don't really have that with Dracula because I'm just like, I'm really proud of it. I like how it turned out. Like there are moments where I'm like, oh, I wish this audio quality was better, or like, oh, I could have like added this sound effect here or there, but it's all super minor. So as a whole, I'm like, I'm really happy with how it sounds, and I feel like Dracula 2.0 is just Read Dracula with less stress in the production process.
I mean, that's a good thing to bring into another production, is less stress. We all want less stress.
You all would like
know,
less stress.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I like before we like talk about your other projects, I just would like to say that I just really love Read Dracula. It's such a joy to listen to. It's one of the things of like I'd like to listen to it again, but it would also almost spoil the feeling of listening to it the first time. Like I'm sure I will, like at some point I will listen to it all again, but having listened to it back that first time, waiting for it anxiously to be released, dreading how Jonathan is, even though I know he will get out. Like I've read the book, I know what will happen. I'm still just like, where is he? Is he okay? I know we're talking to Mina. She's doing fine right now. Can we go back to Jonathan, please? Like you know, like Quincy's fantastic introduction of turning up, just out of the blue to kind of help with Lucy. It's so wonderful, and it kind of really highlights the strengths of the book as well, because you've been able to put that across in audio. So thank you to you and all the team, actors and crew, everyone involved, because it's great. And I'm going to stop fanboying, but I really love it. I really love Read Dracula. So since
I really love it too.
I'm so glad. Since working on Read Dracula, obviously you've released Read Camilla, and obviously now crowdfunding Read Frankenstein. So what was Read Camilla like to work on? I will confess I have not had a chance yet to listen to Read Camilla. However, I saw really good feedback and people very excited to like listen to it, because I think a lot of people haven't read Camilla, but they have read Dracula. So I think what was the reaction? What was the process of that like?
Was way more chill because it's less characters. It's a shorter story, less episodes. Like mostly we could just focus on the relationship between Laura and Carmilla instead of like every relationship in the giant diagram of Dracula, like Dracula Mina, Jonathan Mina, Seward and Renfield, like et cetera, et cetera. It was just 2. And so for that, once we had cast our Carmilla and our Laura, we brought Ella in to direct, and I really just let the 3 of them loose to just have fun, make something good. One of my favorite things to do just in production is like either cast or hire people that I know do good work and that I can trust them, and just being like, go make the thing, have fun. Because I just really enjoyed the opportunity to just give people functionally full creative control. Like, I'm doing the sound design, so I was like, I will just match the sound design to the energy you bring in recording. So that was really fun. We brought on Trace Callahan as our composer, and basically once I had the dialogue edit for an episode, I would send it to them, and again, just be like, go, have fun, make something. And then I would get music back, and I would sound design and sort of incorporate that music at the same time. Trace would pick like certain scenes that they thought, oh, music would be good here, and give me the timing. And then for the other parts, I would take music already made and kind of add effects to make it a little more ethereal and dreamy, because I decided I kind of wanted like a dreamy feel to this whole thing, and kind of combine that with the sound design. The music really led at like my approach in post-production for Carmilla, which was very fun. Whereas with Dracula, we had our composer make leitmotifs for different characters, but then filled it in a lot with like royalty-free music. So it wasn't so much the music determining the sound, it was more the actors. And then I would just be like, I want this to be tense. Let me find some tense music.
Let me get some strings.
Yeah. But with Carmilla, it was much more just like, oh, I have music just made for this. Great. Wonderful. So it was a lot more just low key of a production process because it was so much more scaled down. And honestly, a really nice breather, because with Frankenstein, it is a shorter book. There will be, less than 100 episodes, but the cast is pretty big. So we're kind of back to scaling up a little, which will be fun. But it was nice to just have this little breather of like, let's just tell this love ? Story that's a little weird. You cannot trust the Laura's narration in Carmilla. Like, you can't really, like, is everything true? Which is why I wanted it to feel dreamy, because I kind of wanted you to question everything, like the music, the sound design. Just it's a vibe. Just go along with the vibe is kind of what I was going for. Whereas with Dracula, it's less like, there's a vibe. It's like terrible things are happening and we must defeat the evil. Whereas with Carmilla, it's like we're kind of in love with the evil. And so it's just a very different feeling, which is a lot of fun.
Because Georgia, you've read Carmilla, right? I haven't read Carmilla, so you have more knowledge of the book than I do.
Yes, I can't remember why I read it. I deliberately picked up a copy of it a couple of years ago. And I watched the webisode.
Yes.
A long time ago, which Theo, I don't think you've seen. There was like a Y2K, like a YouTube style found footage adaptation of it, where it's set in a university, and it went off the rails in a fantastic ? Way, but it was very queer and very interesting, and that was my introduction to Camilla. And then I read the original, and then Carmilla came along, which was very cool. So yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable on it as I am Dracula. I've had to become very knowledgeable on Dracula over the last couple of years.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah. I did that to myself. But yeah, no, I think it's a very different book and a very different, as you say, vibe to like this Camilla is the vampire novel where you're falling in love with a vampire. No idea why people turn Dracula into the novel where you're falling in love with a vampire. It's clearly Camilla.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of, actually, we did miss a question, which I think it'd be good to go back to before we talk about Frankenstein, which was, like, George and I are obviously very open in Holmwood that there are queer characters, there are trans characters, and it comes up in the story that it has to be talked about or discussions happen. Do you have any, like, again, these are personal headcanons, about any of the characters in Dracula? Obviously, looking at it through a modern gaze, because obviously they wouldn't have the same vocabulary, perhaps. But do you have any, like, I don't know, headcanons on queer identity regarding the cast?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think everyone in Dracula is bisexual,
Yeah.
including Dracula. There are like specifically with Dracula and also Seward, there are moments where in our script we put the indicator at, like, as bisexual as possible, because it makes it way more interesting that way. Like Dracula specifically, like his possessiveness over Jonathan, and like the comparisons between Jonathan Harker and, like, they're not called like Brides of Dracula in the book, but the Brides of Dracula.
SW
And
audio
like,
character
oh,
not registered.
this man belongs to me. It's not something that Dracula says if he's straight. Like, come on. So yeah, that's sort of, I just, like, I say it kind of jokingly of like, oh yeah, everyone in this book is bisexual, but I think there are really moments of just like connection that I think are way more interesting to be read through like a queer lens.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, again, because I guess you're reading it because you also experienced Dracula daily, which I imagine quite a lot of people were discussing queer identity whilst that was happening. Yeah, because like, I agree with you like so much. I do read like everyone in the book as queer in some way. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah, and it's the suitor polycule that I think people do like go towards quite heavily, because mostly I think because of Jack and his many hands.
Yes.
So, yeah.
He needs looking after.
Yes, and it's the Mina Lucy line, which is like, we'll be together in castles in the air or something of that ilk. Where you're just like,
Yeah.
that is not something you say to your straight, like, I mean, I wouldn't say that to, like, you know, in a past life I would never have said that to like a girlfriend without it having a lot of intention, you know. Like, it's a very intense way of speaking to a friend. So yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, I think most of the fandom are on the same page in that regard. But it's always interesting to see what people think, because I think, again,
I think
the joy
it's
of
not
reading
a
Dracula
very
is
controversial take.
definitely not. There's not a hot take at all.
Not registered.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's great, and I think it's just so interesting that the media is so focused on Dracula Mina, even though all of this bisexuality seems to be in the text. So yeah, it's such a shame. You never know. One day we might get an adaptation. Well, actually, I think there probably is adaptions out there. There's definitely fan fictions out there that do it. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a more mainstream one. But who knows?
That would be cool.
It'd be very cool. We're going to move on from Dracula now and from Marie Camilla. And ask you about Frankenstein, because what I loved about seeing Frankenstein is, as a trans person, to see that your cast are all trans, which is fantastic. Talk us through the choices behind that, and like, you know, how that was cast, because that must still be quite tricky trying to cast everyone's roles, even if they're trans. Like, did you focus on types of voices over gender? Like, what was the process like?
Yeah, so I guess we'll touch on like sort of the idea and then process. I read Frankenstein like after I read Dracula, so relatively recently, like all things considered. And as a non-binary person, I really identified a lot with like the creature's idea of himself being so there's a word, so different than how everyone else perceives him. And I super identify with that as a person that everyone looks at and goes, ah, that's a woman. And it's just like, that's not how my internal like gender really feels. And like, I'm used to it. It's whatever. But I was like, oh, wow, like this is a very trans experience. And I enjoyed reading the book just like from a trans lens. And I think it was me who brought the idea up to Hannah and Steven of like, what if we just cast trans people? And they were super duper supportive. Steven is also non-binary. Hannah is very literally like our token to set within the production. Earlier for Hannah. But they were super supportive. And one of the, like, just sort of beyond the book being very appealing to look at through a trans lens was we want to pay trans people. Like we were right now in the UK, in the US, like it's really, really shitty to exist as any trans person, especially a trans woman. Like both of our governments are being bad, and it's just hard for trans people to find work, get money. So almost even more than like just sort of the textual reading was, let's just give trans people money. That would be fun. And so we did. And moving into the process, we wanted to kind of do the opposite from what we did for Dracula, which was primarily invite people to audition, where we just did an open casting call. I think it was just a section of text that the creature reads, and I thought would be pretty hard to nail because it's a little archaic. There are different ways to deal with the emotion, and I was really looking for people who could take text that feels a little dated, but read it in a way that feels really modern. So we just did an open audition, and like in our form, we just said, hey, what pronouns do you want us to use for you? And what pronouns of what characters do you want to play? I think there's this misconception that a lot of people have that like, oh, trans women only want to play female characters, or trans men only want to play male characters. And it's just not true, period. Like, I'm fine playing characters of any gender when I voice act. I generally get cast as a she, her, but you know, that's how it goes. And once we got like 600 auditions, and we sorted through and sort of made short lists of people we did callbacks for specific characters. So we were like, oh, this person's voice could be really good for, I don't know, the main professor. And then we did a callback where we asked them to read lines as the main professor, to just sort of hear, like, it's sort of different hearing someone read for a generic character versus the specific character you want to cast them for. So once we did our callbacks, we cast all the roles. And I love casting. It is also exhausting. It's a really complicated process because you're not only looking at how a voice fits a character, but how all the characters' voices sound together. I listened to a bunch of pilots recently for just other shows, and there were a couple where I could not tell the characters apart, and it made me really confused the whole time. So when I'm casting, I try to avoid that, especially if people are in the same scene. So we're also making sure the voices balance out. And then we cast everyone. And there's a lot of really minor roles, like shipmaster that says one line at the beginning and never again. But we were like, hey, let's get someone to read this one line and we will pay them our minimum voice acting rate, and they'll get $30 for one line. And oh no, we've paid a trans person. That was our goal. Fantastic. So that's sort of how the casting process went. I love our cast. I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I feel obligated to say that we had like 600 auditions, so there were a lot of really talented people that we just didn't have roles for. And I think anyone in a position to cast people should really consider casting trans voice actors, because there are a lot of them and they're very talented. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for going through all of that. Like, that's a lot, but no, it's completely
Yeah, I
fair.
just did a bunch of rambling.
No, it's good. Like, there's just so, like, because obviously for Holmwood, it was our first time producing, so we went from only doing the audio drama scripts and then kind of giving those to other people to do the hard work, and then we'd go, oh, this sounds really nice afterwards, which is obviously a very nice feeling. But like, this was the first time with Holmwood. It was like, okay, we need to cast the actors, we need to schedule them in, we need to make sure when we're casting people that they don't sound too similar, you know. And we wanted to find queer and trans voices, and it's hard. I think people underestimate how hard it is, because I think so much of like independent grassroots audio drama tends to be one person with a few friends at first, and then it expands as you get more ambitious, which is what you're supposed to do. You're definitely supposed to do that. We kind of jumped in the deep end as a fire was going on a little bit with Holmwood, but we knew if we were talking about trust. We had a lot of people in the corner we trusted to do the work. So we were the only one. We were the least experienced on the team in a way, to be like, yep, this is our baby, but we're still new. Please be nice. So yeah, it's incredible, like the path an audio drama takes, which, because it always ends up the same. Like, the outcome is kind of the same every time, but the routes we get there, like, yeah, it's mad. But no, and I think it's really important as well bringing up about the trans voices, because yeah, like you say, like, so many trans people are so happy to still experiment with their voice and still perform with their voice in different ways. It is kind of scary how good people are with their voices, like trans men on testosterone, like myself. I can't do certain things with my voice that I used to, where trans women do so much training to be able to sound more feminine, because of like estrogen doesn't help with that, so they are usually able to do a myriad of voices. I'm always so impressed. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's such a incredible gift to be able to do that, because I wish I could. Yeah, it's so cool, and again, paying people is so good. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah, we love doing it too. Yeah, cool. Is there anything you'd like to add regarding Frankenstein? Anything you'd like to share that maybe you haven't shared to anyone yet, like a scoop, like an exclusive, or anything you want to talk about in terms of the crowdfunding?
Yeah, well, I guess since I just mentioned how I love paying people, we're crowdfunding, and you can help me pay people. We're using Indiegogo. We also have a Patreon. We're also getting some money from Bloody FM. So the show is happening. It's going to be great. But the more money we get, the faster we can pay people. Because like Patreon especially, it's month by month. So like sometimes you gotta wait, and I don't want to do that. So please help me pay people. It will be really good. In terms of like stuff that I'm let's see, scoop stuff I haven't shared. I'm not sure. Like, we are in recording right now. It's going super great. I really love what everyone is bringing to the table. I have asked our voice actors to record some memes. So we will be getting some Franken memes on the socials at some point when that happens. Maybe that's the scoop. I don't think I've said that anywhere yet.
Franken memes?
So
Are you calling them Franken memes? Or are they just Frankenstein
yes, the
memes?
document that I compiled all of them in is just named Franken memes.
Yes.
That has been the really fun thing about Frankenstein production, is that you can kind of just put Franken in front of everything. I made a zine. It's the Franken zine.
Not registered.
There's like just other, like our channel, like it's like Franken something. It's great. I love it.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I'm learning I'm bad at talking about my own work. I'm just like, it's gonna be really good. Trust me. Trust me on that.
That confidence there is what we need. We need that. We do need that. So I've got the page up. So just to let everyone know, the Indiegogo is open for another 13 days. We're currently at $5,623. So go support them for the next stretch goals. There is lots of rewards, and I believe I think Georgia worked on one of these rewards. Do you want to talk about that?
There is a like a paper doll of Frankenstein, so you can print out and build your own little creature. And Georgia designed this paper doll that I'm so excited about.
I can't wait to see him
So
dangling.
Yes. Yeah, so that's where We Frankenstein is. Please go support it. Also, I'll use this opportunity to also talk again about Holmwood Season 2. So Kickstarter's going well. We announced Johnny Sims as one of our new cast members last night. So that was news to you. That is the news after we hit 5k. Every 5k we hit, we announce a new cast member. We have 7 cast members to hit. So it does kind of hopefully work towards the end of our Kickstarter campaign. We are looking to raise 40k. So if we do not hit 40k, we cannot make season 2 as it currently stands. So it is very important, if you like the show, even if you can give us a little bit, the more of you that gives us a little bit, the more likely we are to be able to make it. So it is really important. Even if you can't fund right now, please share, please post everywhere. We also have community goals this year. So something we were inspired by the wonderful Dracula SD team, which are the trans-inclusive Dracula dating sim that was made by Fine Feathered Fiends. So they did a wonderful Kickstarter earlier this year, and they used community goals, which were fan art, memes, and just reposting as much as possible. And if we hit certain goals within those parameters, we can then give more postcard designs to our backers. So yes, so it's all very exciting. So there's lots for people to do if they would like to support us but can't give money right now. So please do check that out on our Tumblr and on our socials. And I'm also going to, while I have Tal here, just to share the next event, because I think we are at the end now. So next event will be talking to Jonathan Barnes, who's the writer of Dracula's Child, which is a novel. That will be pre-recorded earlier that day, just because of his timings, unfortunately. And they'll be airing later that evening. So around this time, we'll release the premiere for that. And then we're talking to Gabriel Urbina about the Dance Macabre the following day. I hope I'm saying that right, because I'm going to get hit by everyone if I haven't. And also probably about Harbingers, which is his new show. So that's very exciting. And then we'll be at MCM, the London MCM Comic-Con, over the weekend. We'll have a stall. We have Holmwood goodies, including...
We have exclusive Holmwood
Our
goodies.
Scoop exclusive. We have a little Holmwood acrylic pin that you can get along with the physical employee handbook. I just realised you can't see what I'm doing. Hang on, I'll go back. Hello, we're back. I'm going to show you the acrylic pin that I was holding up, but now you can actually see, which I love. It's so cute. We're going to be peeling plastic to make sure we can see all these lovely, beautiful acrylic pins. We also have a few leftover stickers from season 1, I believe. And the employee handbook, physical employee handbook, and also Georgia's going to be selling her books. So if you're a fan of Georgia's work, we have her short story collection and Ruby Red, her Doctor Who book, and copies of The Hotel, which was her Halloween book from last year. I'm doing so good. That's great. I can take care of your stall where you can go gallivant. I'll take care of your stall. It's all good. So that will be over the weekend, so from Friday to Sunday. Yes. So I think that's it from us for now. Is there anything you'd like to add, Tal, before you leave? Anything you'd like to say? Unfortunately, we have no questions in the chat. Oh, hang on. Oh, and we've just hit a community goal. We've had 5 fan works. So we have hit one of our goals. So we need to get 3 goals before we can add more postcards. Thank you so much for letting us know. Yay! We can share that with the community when we're done here. But yes, Tal, anything to add?
I feel like I should, but I don't. Support our crowdfunds.
Yes.
Yay!
Go support.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's right. Thank you so much for coming on. We will end this here. What I'll do is I will show everyone our wonderful Holmwood Season 2 teaser trailer and then sign out. So thank you from all of us here, and we will speak to you very, very soon. Bye.
Bye.
This is an official announcement from management of the Holmwood Foundation. Please do not ignore. Dear employee, as we are sure you are now aware, last week our historical research and archival facility, the Lucy Westenra building in Whitby, was destroyed in what we suspect was an internal containment breach. All assets have now been recaptured, thanks to the diligent work of our security and extraction team, and any lives lost have been reflected in future contingency planning. The unfortunate theft of Foundation property, namely the skull recently located by our extraction team in the Carpathians, has been linked to 2 former employees of the Lucy Westenra building. They have been dealt with internally, and we are pleased to announce that the missing property has now been recovered. If you have been approached at any time by Miss Madeline Townsend or Mr. Jeremy Larkin in the last week, please report any correspondence immediately to management. Your cooperation is of the utmost importance. With this in mind, we wish to assure you that operations have returned to normal in all department buildings across the Foundation. Our mission, to prevent the reanimation of Count Dracula and to study the lasting effects of vampirism on the human body, has never been more important, nor more in reach. We will keep you updated about any further developments. This is an official announcement from management.